Well, hello there. Welcome to Trisha Williams, CMCstamps.com. I get to show you guys a couple of my newest creations, and I did copy or cased a couple of these cards, so I'll make sure that you have a reference to them. Let's get started. So today we got to do something pretty cool. I'm not sure of the name, so I'm kind of inventing a name, but it's a glossy paper painting kind of technique. So you use your stamp set and some ink and glossy paper, and you make some really cool cards. Credit for these cards goes to Jaxie Craft Creations. She did a similar card, but it looked like she had done it in watercolor, and I just tried it out with this new technique with the glossy paper and the painting with the ink, and I loved the result. Okay, let me go ahead and show you how to do it. So you're going to use the stamp and ink, and you're going to kind of paint onto your glossy paper because it slides. And really what it is it's kind of dabbing and blending, and it gives you this really cool look. So let me pull these up so you can see. I just want you to see kind of how cool it looks. It looks almost like a photo, because of the photo that has that glossy shine to it. Looks really pretty. So then I heat embossed with white, and I made it a fun shaker card. It's a really cool card. And then let me show you this one that I did for a recent swap. So to do a swap, you usually make so many and you swap and end up with new ones. So you can see that I stamped on the top to give it some texture and along each edge, and it just added kind of a cool border. Okay, I'm going to show you a bunch of samples that I cased from other people, and at the end you get to see the card that I designed and how I did it. I think you're going to like my card because it's a little sneak peek of some of the new product in the holiday catalog. I'm going to go ahead and show you the card now just to get you excited, and at the end I'll show you how to make it. So I used my new all-time favorite stamp set. I just love the aspens and the wispy trees in this one. It is gorgeous. You see all those beautiful autumn colors that I incorporated in it? Oh, it's just breathtaking. So hopefully you can get a good view, and I'll go over this again later. You just want to make sure that after you get the ink on and let it dry, then you can heat emboss after. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you some more samples of things that I made. Okay, this one I made specifically for Memories and More, or scrapbooking, any type of scrapbooking that you do where you can fit this into a smaller pocket. I also made it so that if someone didn't want to do scrapbooking, they can make it into a small card. And I just took Jackie's kind of design and changed the colors and changed the stamps. And so I'm going to put this one in my little girl's scrapbook, and hopefully she can continue to have fun with it. So I use the Magical Mermaid stamp set and I use the Sea of Texture stamp set to get this cool look. Here's my next card. This one was really fun. I love it. It's really fun to make. So I cased this card after one that I found on the stampcycle.com by Christy. I believe that she used some kind of a sponging or a watercoloring look, and instead I used this new technique that is new to me with the glossy paper and the painting with the stamps, and I made a really vibrant, cool background. And a really important trick to let you know right off the bat is very simple, but if you can have a wet paper towel nearby, not soaking wet, just lightly wet, it can kind of help you blend your colors together and give it that really nice blended look. So the colors I used on this pretty tree here, I took from the sample that I saw from Christie's, and then I went ahead and made kind of a winter theme with my own color scheme and my own tree idea, and just kind of changed it, made it my own, and I loved how it turned out. Another little fun surprise, I got a sneak peek here of some embellishments. Do you see the tree and the star embellishments? They're pretty cool. So those are going to be in the new holiday catalog coming out in September. If you're interested in purchasing anything from our current catalog or the upcoming holiday catalog in September, I'd love to be your demonstrator and help you find some fun product for your own. So you can shop with me on the link down below. When I went to the onstage in Las Vegas, Elizabeth Price did a really cool demonstration. And she showed this next technique, and it's kind of what started me to be excited about this technique. So during her demo, she made sure that we knew that you could actually use a stamp to kind of paint or slide or blend all your ink colors together, and you could layer it. You could add some texture by letting it sort of dry and then stamping on top again. So it kind of opened my eyes up to a whole new world of a new technique, and I'm really grateful I got to see it there. So although it seems like it's a process to do this painting, it is one of the coolest things to do, and I'm pretty addicted. So thank you, Elizabeth Price, for your ideas. And I changed the color of the boats a little bit and used thicker ribbon, things like that. But I really loved her card. She also showed us how to do a cool wood background. So my next card has this really cool wood background. It looks different with different colors. And I'm also going to do another sneak peek on a very popular bundle, the Frosted Floral. Wow, the texture in these papers look amazing. And it's just glossy paper with a stamp. And it looked different each time I did it. It's really cool. Yeah, and you see that new stamp set? It's super frosty. And I use the embellishments from there that I love. There's one silver and one that looks a little more frosted. Let me show you how a couple of the other ones turned out. And interesting enough, they all look different. The ink pads that I used were, my first layer was crumb cake always, and then my second layer was often soft suede. Sometimes I just stopped there, or I would add a little bit of gray granite or early espresso. I was also inspired by a video that I got to watch on YouTube by Leanne Gruff. And she actually showed how to open up your stamps, your ink pads, and use the corner and just slide it across. I thought that was a little more difficult than some of the other ones, like using a stamp to paint, instead actually using the ink pad to paint. It is a little easier if you have your wet paper towel nearby so you can kind of blend it. It's important to note that after you get your ink on and it's dried a little bit, then you can go ahead and use Stays-On. And in this case, I used the Waterfront stamp set. I stamped the pretty trees about 3 times, but I first did my mountains and kind of added on level after level, and that's what gave it that cool rigid look. And you can see that I added that same saying from a stamp set, Another Wonderful Year. Okay, coming to my next sample. This one was really beautiful, just made with 2 colors, and I cased it from Stampin' with Liz Designs. And I started with a Bermuda Bay on the top card. Then at the very bottom, I used that beautiful new in color, the Blueberry Bushel, and just kind of added it up. And I wanted it to look a little misty, so I left some texture there. Okay, once it's dried, then you can go ahead and you can stamp with Stays-On, the permanent black ink. You want to make sure that you use Stays-On this. Memento won't do very well for this. I ended up making a couple of these cards because they were so much fun. Now I want to go ahead and show you how I made my card. Now that you've seen all these wonderful, beautiful samples, let's get into my project. Just to show you a sample, this is what it looks like after you've kind of blended all the colors and before you have stamped and embossed with white on top. The more you layer, the darker the color looks. And another warning is when it dries, it does dry lighter than when you're stamping it. Taking out my texture stamp set from the Sea of Textures, I use this stamp set with my inks, and I'm going to go ahead and open up all my inks and get ready to layer them on. As I open up these ancient ink pads, I want to let you know that the Stampin' Up! Has a new kind that you easily open, like a makeup compact. It's like you're looking at a mirror. It's really nice. You should get the new one. So I have my paper towel that's just slightly moist. So basically it's going to be like when you wash your hands and dry your hands with the paper towel. It's going to be not over wet, not too dry. Be careful that your paper towel isn't too wet. You don't want it you just want slightly damp because otherwise it can maybe take away too much of your ink. Okay, just go ahead and ink up your stamp with the darkest color first, and then you kind of do somewhat of like a layering. So you're gonna hear some pounding maybe as I'm stamping. It's also a good idea to make sure that you have a piece of paper underneath you so you're not getting your extra ink all over like a nice surface. Okay, you're gonna start just layering and stamping across, and I'm just gonna keep adding layers. It will slightly slide, but most of it's just layering and dabbing on top of each other. And as I am going, I'm making it lighter towards the top and darkest to the bottom area. If this looks intimidating, don't worry, just practice, and it's actually really fun. I think you'll like it. My best suggestion is just to play. Just experiment and figure out, what colors you like and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and just speed this part up so you can kind of see me do the process quicker. That way it might be a little more interesting to you. So sometimes your darkest color will take up most of your space on your paper. And for example, on my other card here, I used just a small strip of the darkest color. On this card, I put more purple, more pink, and it kind of took up most of my space, about half of the amount of space. Okay, the best way to clean your stamps during this process is to use a chamois. My chamois is pretty destroyed, as you can tell. I've used it a lot. But you just want to get it wet and then wring it out right before you use it. And I put it in one of these cool Stampin' Up! DVD cases. And I leave it right by my side so that I can quickly clean off the color in between. And you do want to stamp off your stamp set on your extra sheet of paper just to make sure you get all the color off. Okay, now it's ready for my next color, the pumpkin pie. My first color was Cajun Craze, in case you're wondering. Oftentimes I move the colors when I'm done with them so I don't accidentally use them. Think it's the wrong color. That would be bad. Okay, you're going to put your stamp where you're wanting it to blend into the other color. So you're going to kind of dab upwards towards the color and also away from the color so that you get kind of a blended look. I think this technique can take time, but it is super fun. In fact, I would suggest having a lot of glossy paper ready to just play. Just experiment and have some fun and try out different color combinations. I think you'll really like it. As I was doing this, I found that having my ink pads freshly inked, really helped make it a little bit faster for me. And let's say that your layer came out kind of lighter than you wanted, so let it dry a little bit and go ahead and stamp another layer on it with your dark color again, and it will add kind of more of a depth to that color. So let's grab our Daffodil Delight next and add some color to that sky. And as I'm going up, it's getting lighter. Here's another important advice for you is make sure that you don't touch your wet glossy paper. Because it's glossy, it will come off in your hands and leave a little print mark. So I just use the side of my extra paper to hold it down while I'm getting the top finished. Okay, see now how I'm sliding just to the very bottom, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab my paper towel and lighten it up because it has a little bit of water. It's going to take some of that color and it's also going to blend for me. So it somewhat feels like painting in a different way. It's a fun technique. And that gave me a really cool faded look in the sky getting softer as it went up. Okay, I just did a little more blending to make sure it all looked really smooth. Okay, now you can see I'm bringing back my Cajun Craze, the darkest color, and I'm going to do a couple more layers on the top just to make it more of a vibrant color. Okay, I like that look. Let's go to the next step. I'm going to grab a little bit of Sahara sand on my ink or my stamp and just stamp lightly at the top, and if I want a little more, I'll add some more layers. And like I said, try not to touch it. You'll get inky fingers and ruin it. And I accidentally did. So I'm just going to fix that up real quick and be done. All right, now that we're done with that, I want to show you the rest of how I did the card. So I used my Emboss Buddy and then I stamped in Versamark. And just to note, the aspens weren't quite long enough. So I was able to flip it upside down and stamp it. So I stamped it first really tall and then flipped it upside down and stamped it again. And luckily it lined up perfectly. If I were you, I would use your Stamparatus for this. Then I used those wispy set of trees and did those twice. And then from the Waterfront stamp set, I was able to stamp a couple of those at the bottom with Versamark. And then I added some white embossing powder and heat embossed it. And then of course you know that my saying is from another stamp set or is from that same stamp set. And I tied on a little bit of baker's twine there. Okay, thanks for watching today. I'm going to pull out my other samples so you can see them real quick. And just to show you real quick too, it was really bold when I finished stamping it, and then when it's dried, it's a little softer, so you can see the difference there. So it's really vibrant, and then it dries lighter. If you want to make these things at home, I'd love to become your demonstrator, and you can purchase them online through my website. It's down below. The link is there to shop. And then thanks for watching. I really enjoyed teaching this today, and thanks for coming. I really think it's nice to be able to make my own projects at home. I love the quality that Stampin' Up! Has in their products. So go ahead and click the link to shop with me. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You guys are awesome. Thanks again. Bye.